Today we are going to learn a new type of sentence, but first let's look back at the 5 types of sentences that we have already done. First, we talked about a subject is an object. Then we talked about a subject is an adjective. Then we talked about a subject is an adjective object. And then we had a subject is a prepositional phrase that answers the question where, and then a subject is a prepositional phrase that answers the question when. Subject and object are a noun. An adjective is a word that answers the question, what kind of noun is it? Subject and object, adjective, and prepositional phrase are kind of fancy words that we use when we are talking about grammar. An easier way to think about this is to realize that every word or phrase in a sentence is answering a question. For example, the subject tells us who is it about. So we could say, who is what? Well, we can make it a girl and say she is what? She is a friend. She is a person, that's a noun. A friend is a person, that's a noun. We could say who is what kind of person? Well, we can say she is nice. Nice is an adjective. It tells us what kind of person she is. We can put those two sentences together and say she is a friend, a nice friend. She is a nice friend. Here's our subject. It's a person, so it is a noun. This is a pronoun. She is a friend. That's a person. That's a noun. We use nice to tell us what kind of friend she is. She is a nice friend. We can say she is where. This sentence is telling us who is where. She is at school. This is a prepositional phrase and it begins with the preposition at and it ends with a noun, which is the object of that preposition. She is at school. We can have she is, well, we're not going to do she. We're going to do the party. The party is when? The party is at 8 o'clock. Our subject is the party. It is a thing. Then we have our verb. And then we have our prepositional phrase that answers the question when. The party is at 8 o'clock. So our sentences all begin by telling us who or what is it about, and then we're using the verb is, and then we can say is what, or is what kind, or is where, or is when. These are the types of sentences we have done so far. Next, we are going to talk about sentences that use a verb with ing on the end. We're going to be able to use a verb with ing on the end in the predicate part of the sentence and in the subject part of the sentence. That is what the lesson today will be about. For this type of sentence, we begin with our subject. That is, who is it about? We're going to have a boy, so we will use the word he. And then we have our verb is. And then we're going to have an action verb, something that this boy can do, and we will add ing to the end of the verb. So we will take the verb run, and we will put it right here and add ing to it. Now with this verb, run, there is a spelling rule that we're not going to talk about today, but you can see that I added an extra N to the word run. before I added ing. And then our sentence says, he is running. So again, this type of sentence begins with a noun, a subject, or he, which is a pronoun. It tells us who it is about. And then we have the verb is. And then we have our action verb. We're using run because you can see the boy here is running. And then we add ing. So our sentence says, he is running. When we add ing to a verb, like run, we can also use that word in something called the gerund form. This is a fancy word, and it means that we have taken a verb and added ing to it, and we can use it as a noun. We can put it into the subject of our sentence. It would look like this. So here, we're going to take our verb run, we're going to add ing to it, and it will go at the beginning of the sentence, and it will be our subject. This is answering the question, what is our sentence about? It is about running. Then our verb is, and then we can have a word like an adjective that tells us what the running is like. So I'm choosing the word fun. So my sentence here is run, I have to add that extra N, add ing, running is fun. In this sentence, even though running is an action we can do, we are talking about the act of running, or the action of running. You can see it begins with the, and we always put the before a noun. And the act of running is going to be like a noun. And so we can use it as the subject of our sentence. So here running is not the verb in the sentence, but rather the act of running, which is something we can do, is the subject of our sentence. We will always use the verb is. It'll be a singular verb. We will not say running are fun. We will say running is fun. So we have two kinds of sentences here that both begin with an action verb. It can be to play, to climb, to sleep, to eat, to run, to smile, to read. We're using to run, and then we add ing to it, and it can go after the verb to be, which in this sentence is, he is running, or it can go at the beginning of the sentence, and the act of running will be the subject of the sentence. We will use is after it. Running is fun. I have been using the word is for my verb because my subject has been just one person, place, or thing that is not I and is not you. So in here, I could have he or she or it. I could have the gerund form of a verb like reading, sleeping, playing, running, walking. Or I could have a thing like a book, a dog, a tree, a table. And this would go with the verb is. If we are talking about ourselves and we are using the word I, then we say am. This is a special verb that only goes after the word I. For you, we, and they, we use the same verb are. All of these verbs, is, am, are, and are, these are all the same verb. We call this verb the verb to be. And we change it depending on who the subject is. So if the subject is just one person, place, or thing, and it's not I and it's not you, then we want our verb to end with the letter S. And so we use the word is. I is a special subject, and this will always have the verb am to be our to be verb. And everything else uses are. So if it's more than one, it will always be are. So let's do an example. If we are talking about running, okay, so here's our picture of some people who are running. We take our verb run, we add ing. If we are running right now, we could say he, that's one person, is running. If I am the one running, we would say I am running. If you are running, we would say you are running. If a lot of us or more than one of us are running, and it includes me, we would say we are running. And in this picture, I am not running, you are not running, but there are more than one person running, so we say they are running. All of these are happening right now. We can also use this type of sentence if we are all finished running. So here you can see some people who have finished running. They were running, but they are not running anymore. I could say I was running, he was running, or they were running. Instead of using is or am or are, we use was or were. For I, we use was. For he and every other person, place, or thing that is just one, we use was. For everything that is more than one, and for the word you, we use were. And was and were are used to say that we are all finished. So we are not running anymore. This is called the past tense. But we take our verb run and we add ing. So we have I was running, he was running, they were running. The word you, even if it's just one person, would also be were. You were running. This type of sentence is easy to remember if you know the pattern. The pattern is when we have the subject plus the verb to be, and the verb to be is am, is, are, was, were, plus an action verb plus ing. So an example could be my sentence could be about I am, and I choose my action verb to be read, and then I add on ing. I am reading. Or I could choose my subject to be he, and then my verb to be is, he is, and my action verb could be eat. And then I add on ing. He is eating. If he was eating dinner with his family and they were all done, then we would say they. That's more than one person. And they are all done eating, so we say were. Our action verb is eat. And we add on ing. So it goes like this. They were eating. He is eating. I am reading. This type of sentence has a fancy name, which I will write here, but you do not need to remember it. The pattern in the sentence is for the verb, And this type of verb is called the progressive tense, and it is sometimes called the continuous tense. These mean the same thing. You do not need to know these words right now. But you should know this pattern right here. The subject plus the verb to be plus an action verb plus ing. And we choose our verb to be here by looking at who is the subject, is it one or more than one, and is the action taking place right now or is it all finished? In this sentence, we can see that our subject is I, so our verb to be is am, our action verb is read, and we added ing. So our sentence is I am reading. Our action verb is read. We can add to that ing. And then we have reading. We can use this word reading in two different ways. We can use it in the type of sentence we looked at with the verb to be and have I am reading, and then it becomes part of the verb. This is a two-part verb. The first part is the verb to be. This could be am, it could be is, it could be are, or if it's all finished, it could be was or were. So the first part is the verb to be, am, is, are, was, were, and the next part is our action verb with ing. But we can do something else with this as well. We can use this as the act of reading, and then we're going to be able to use this like a noun. And this kind of noun has a special name, which you do not need to know or remember, and it is called a gerund. This is when we take a verb, an action verb like read, we add ing to it, and then we're going to call it the act of reading. And you see there's the word the in front of it, which turns this whole thing together into a noun, which means we can use it as the subject of our sentence. So what we can do is we can take, now I need to get rid of my writing, and then I can bring this up here to be the subject of my sentence, and I can say reading is fun. So now reading, read plus ing, becomes the subject of my sentence. So in this sentence, it is the subject. It is a noun. It is the act of reading. And we always use the singular verb to be, is. And then we have an adjective, fun. Reading is fun. We can even say, reading a book is fun. So here, our subject in the red box is reading a book. Reading a book is fun. It is important to know here that the subject of the sentence is not book. It is reading, the act of reading, and that goes with a singular subject. So for example, if I wrote reading instead of one book, if I wrote reading books, books plural, here you might say, this is reading more than one book. Maybe this should be are, except books is not the subject. So we have to say, what is the subject? The subject is reading, the act of reading, and that goes with a singular verb. Singular verbs end in S, like is. Reading books is fun. So let me get rid of this. We can read our sentence. Reading books is fun. Because it is not the books that is fun, it is the act of reading those books. So reading is fun. Reading a book is fun. Reading books is fun. This here is how to make a sentence where we take our action verb read, we add ing to make reading, like this, and we use it as the subject of our sentence. Reading is fun. Reading a book is fun. Remember that the subject of a sentence needs to be a noun. So when we are using read or our verb plus ing, we are turning it into a noun. Well, a noun can be used as a subject of the sentence, like in reading is fun, but a noun can also be used as an object in a sentence. There can also be nouns that are in the predicate of our sentence. So if we look at here, in this sentence, I is the subject, like is the verb. I like what? What do I like? Well, the answer to the question what is a noun. So here reading is what I like. It answers the question what? What do I like? And the answer to a question what is going to be a noun. So in this sentence, reading is the gerund form of the verb read, so it's the act of reading, and so in this sentence it is an object. If we look at this sentence, I am tired of reading. Our subject is I, the verb is am. This was the second type of sentence that we learned. We have a subject, the verb to be, and then an adjective. So this sentence tells us who is it about? Am. Remember, am is the verb to be. It's the same verb as is or are. I am, and then we have a word to describe how I am. Say, what kind of person am I right now? This is an adjective, and I will say tired. But then, tired of what? And we say, of reading. Well, we have learned about prepositions, and we know that of is a preposition. And what comes after a preposition but a noun? And that noun is called the object of the preposition. So in this prepositional phrase, of reading, of is the preposition, and reading is an object. It is the gerund form. It is the act of reading. So in these sentences, well, if I get rid of this one at the top here, all of these sentences are using the word reading in the gerund form, which means we have turned the verb read into a noun, the act of reading. And we can use it as a subject, like reading is fun, or as an object, like I like reading. But in this first sentence that we did on this page, I am reading, the word reading is part of the verb. It's a two-part verb, part 1, part 2. The first part is the verb to be, which can be Am only goes with the subject I. Is would be for a person, place, or thing that is just one. And are, which is for a person, place, or thing that is more than one, or the word you. So these sentences are examples of how we can use ing words. We take an action verb like read, and then we add ing, and we can use this either as a verb or as the act of reading, which would be a noun. Next, I am going to show you 20 action verbs that I think are good ones to know. I would encourage you to memorize what these verbs mean and how to spell them. I am going to add ing to each one and use it in the type of sentence that has the subject of the sentence that tells us who it is about, and then a two-part verb. The first part will be the verb to be, which is I am, or if the subject is just one person, we use is, and if it's more than one person, we use are. That's the first part of the verb. The second part of the verb is going to have our action verb, and then we're going to add ing to it. And then all of that will be the whole verb. So in this sentence, the whole verb is asking. So all of this is our verb, is asking. We are going to look at the pictures to help us understand what each verb means. Our first picture is this one. We see this lady is asking questions. She is asking what, when, how, where, why. She is our subject, is asking. In our next sentence, we have the sentence, she is coming. I do not have a picture for this sentence. I think the Chinese for come here, when we say come here, is guo lai, but maybe I'm not saying that right. Coming is like going. There is moving from one place to another place. And the person standing here is asking this person here to come to them. And then we would say, this person is coming. Our next picture is someone who is drawing. She is drawing a picture. Drawing. And here is our sentence. She is drawing. Our next picture is someone who is laughing. We would say, she is laughing. She is laughing. This verb laugh is not an easy verb because the letters don't make sense. This AUGH is a digraph. 4 letters are making one sound, although in this case it's kind of 2 sounds. It's going to make a. So our word is laugh. So we have she is asking, she is coming, she is drawing, she is laughing. With these next 4 verbs, I want you to see how 2 of these sentences have an object. Party is in orange, that is an object. TV is in orange, that is an object. Remember that an object is a noun that is not the subject of the sentence. Some verbs need to have an object after them, and some verbs do not. Let's look at our first sentence. She is having a party. She is our subject. Then we have our two-part verb, is having. Remember that our whole verb in this sentence is having. It's a two-part verb. The first part is the verb to be, am, is, are. The next part is our action verb with ing. And then after that, we have a object. What would happen if we did not have an object? If we just said, she is having. That does not really make sense. With the verb have, we want to know have what? Has what? We have a question. We can't just say she is having. We would say what? She is having what? So this verb needs an object after it. So we say she is having a party. A party is a noun. It is an object. Let's look at our next sentence. This should say he is looking because this looks like a boy. So we can see that, where can I put him? We can see that he is looking through binoculars. So our subject is, we're going to pretend it's a girl for a minute, she, and then we have our two-part verb, is, and then our action is look, and then we add ing. To look at something needs our eyes. We use our eyes to look at something else. After the word looking, we would not put an object. Let's say that he is looking at a bird. We would not say he is looking bird. We would have to use a prepositional phrase to tell us what he is looking at. So we could say, she is looking at a bird. But with this verb, we can also just say, she is looking, period, and be done. Okay, let's look at our next sentence. She is watching TV. She is also eating popcorn. Okay, she is watching TV. With this sentence, our subject is she. We have our two-part verb, is watching. And then usually with this verb, we want to have an object after it. And it is TV. That's this right here. She is watching TV. The verb watch is a little bit like the verb look. We are using our eyes to look at something. A difference between look and watch has to do with how we say what we are looking at or what we are watching. With look, we cannot put look and then TV. We cannot say she is looking TV. We have to have the preposition at. So if we say looking, we have to say at the TV. Period. But with watching, we do not use the preposition at. We do not say she is watching at TV. After the verb watching, we can just put our object. She is watching TV, or she is looking at the TV. However, when we're talking about TV, we usually use the verb watching. So this is the one that we would use. She is watching TV. Our next sentence is, writing. She is writing. With this verb, and the original verb is write with a silent E at the end, and when we add ing, we are going to get rid of the E at the end, and then we will add ing. With this verb, we can use an object at the end, but we don't have to. We can choose. We could say she is writing a story, period. Or we could just say she is writing. So we have she is having a party, she is looking, she is watching TV, and she is writing. For our next sentences, we have the verbs run, sing, eat, and sleep. The first one, they are running. Our verb is run. So here's run. Before we can add ing to the verb run, you can see that I've added another N, and then we add the ing. They are running. Are running is the whole verb. Our next sentence here is singing. She is singing. The verb is sing. And then we add ing. And the whole verb is singing. She is singing. Our next verb is eating. Eat. This boy is eating. He is eating. Our verb is eat. Then we add ing. And eating is part of the verb, is eating. He is eating. Remember, with this type of sentence, there's a two-part verb. He is eating. And our last verb on this page is sleeping. She is sleeping. Our verb is sleep. And then we add ing, and that becomes part of the verb, is sleeping. She is sleeping. So on this page we have they are running, she is singing, he is eating, and she is sleeping. Our next verbs are stop, walk, work, and drink. So here's my stop sign. She is stopping. Our verb is stop. And you can see to add ing, I had to add another P first, and then I added ing. Is stopping is the whole verb, the two-part verb. Part 1, Part 2. She is walking the dog. So here you can see she is walking the dog. Now with this verb, walk, you can use an object, but you don't have to. Well, most of the time we would not. I can't think of very many things we would be walking. I think walking the dog is the only one I can think of at the moment. She is, so there's our verb walk, and then we add ing, walking, and then you can see we have a, and then you can see we have a object after it. She is walking what? She is walking the dog. The dog is the only thing I can think of our walking. We could say she is walking with a friend, but that would be a prepositional phrase, right? We could say, we could use the preposition with and say with and then have an object like a friend, we don't really say she is walking with the dog because there's a leash on the dog. The leash is this thing right here. Can you see that? That's holding on to the dog. So she is walking the dog. If there were another person here, then we could say she is walking with a friend. But you can also just say she is walking, period. Our next verb is work. These people are working. We're going to talk about one person, and it's going to be a girl because my subjects here are she, and so we have she is working. So the verb is work, and then we add ing, working. And is working is the whole verb. She is working. Our next verb is drink. She is drinking water. So in this sentence, our verb is drink, then we add ing, and is drinking is the whole verb. With drink, you can have a subject if you want to, but you do not need to. We could just say she is drinking, period. We can also say what is she drinking, and she is drinking water. So water would be the object in that sentence. So our verbs are stop, she is stopping, walk, she is walking, work, she is working, and drink, she is drinking. Our next verbs are swim, make, camp, and go. So in our first sentence, we have he is swimming. So our verb is swim. And then with this one, we need to add another M and then add ing. And is swimming is our whole verb. Our next sentence is she is making a cake. So here's our person making a cake. With this sentence, the verb is make. And there is a silent E on the end of it. And that makes the A, that should be an A, say A, make. With this verb, we really need to have an object. Can you imagine if we did not have an object? Oops, hang on. If we just say she is making, that would not really make sense. When you say someone is making, we want to say making what? Okay, so we would say, what is she making? We have a question. So we need an object after it to tell us what she is making. She is making a cake. Our next sentence is more camping. This is more than one person, so we have they are camping. And because it is more than one, we are using the verb are, not is. We do not say they is camping. They is more than one person, so we use the plural form of the verb to be, which is are. They are camping. Our subject here is camp. It's something we can do. And we add ing, camping. So are camping is the whole verb. Our next sentence is they are going to school. Get rid of that. They are going to school. So there's two people in this picture. So we have the plural subject they, and because we have they, we do not use is, we use are. And then our verb, our action verb is go, and then we add ing. And so are going is the whole verb in this sentence. It is a two-part verb, are going. Now we could just say they are going, but it usually makes more sense to say where are they going. We have a question with this. When we're talking about going, we have a question. We want to know, where are you going? This question is not a question of what. Okay, our question is not they are going what, and that's why we do not use an object at the end. We would not say they are going school, because we are not asking what are they going, we are asking where are they going. To answer that question, we really need a prepositional phrase. So we have our preposition to, and then we have our object of the preposition. This is where we put school. This is why it's so important to use the word to in this sentence. So let me get rid of all of my writing. What I want to show is when we are saying going, we are probably going to use that preposition to before we say where they are going. And that is because when someone is going someplace, we want to know where they are going. That is our question. So our verbs on this page are swimming, making something, this one is making a cake, camping, and going someplace. This one is going to school. On this page, I want to show you how many different objects can go with the word play. We could just say the kids play. I play, you play. We don't need to have an object, but there are many different objects we can have with this one, and we're going to take a look at those. I think I have 9. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, let's look. We can have play piano. We can have play guzheng. With this one, I'm not sure if we would say play guzheng or if we would say play the guzheng. Play a game. Here we do use the word a. We do not just say play game. We say play a game. But if you're playing more than one game, you could get rid of that and say play games. Play drums. Play ball. In America, baseball is such a special sport that if we say play ball, we are talking about baseball. So when you hear people say, let's play ball, they are talking about baseball. Basketball, we say, let's play basketball. Play, we often think of toys. These kids play with toys. We do not say play toys. We use the preposition with. Play with toys. And play video games. This one can just be an object. We do not need to use a preposition. We say play video games. So we have play piano, play guzheng or play the guzheng, play a game or play games, play drums, play ball, play basketball, play with toys. There are many different ways we can use the verb play. Next, we're going to talk about the verb to go. That's not stuck together. We can use this verb in many different ways. We can use it as part of the verb, he is going. In this sentence, we add ing, here's our verb go, we add ing, and it becomes part of the verb, he is going. We did this before with he or they are going to school. You could just say he is going, but it makes more sense to say he is going where. And that is going to be using a prepositional phrase. You could say he is going to school, or you could say he is going on vacation. Here we have some great pictures of going on vacation. Here are some places that people like to go on vacation. Here's another way to show how we can travel all over the world to see many different special things when we go on vacation. But even going camping is a good way to go on vacation. So we could say, he is going to school, he is going on vacation. In this type of sentence right here, going is part of the verb. But do you remember how we can also take that word going and call it the act of going and put it as the subject of the sentence? So in this sentence, we're trying to use going as the subject. But does this sentence make sense? Going is fun. This sentence does not make sense. If we are going to use going as the subject of the sentence, we need to say, where are we going? We need the subject of the sentence to make sense. So we could say, for example, going to school is fun. If we do this, we need to figure out, well, which one of those words do we match up with the verb? Here is our verb, but we need to decide, do we need is or do we need are? Is would be for a singular subject, just one, and are would be for a plural subject, which is more than one. So we have to look at our words here in our subject, and we need to remember that when we are using the gerund form of the verb go, which is right here, that's going to be the word that we match to our verb. We can also see here in this one's a little bit easier because we can say, well, to is a preposition, which means school is the object of the preposition, and when we have a prepositional phrase in the subject, we can kind of cover that up for a minute, and then that will help us find the word that we're looking for, which is this one. And going, when we use the gerund form, remember gerund is when we add ing to a verb and then we turn it into a noun by saying that it is the act of going. The gerund form or the ing form we use with a singular verb. We do not use are. Are goes with plural subjects like they. So we're not going to use this one. We will use is. Going is fun. But then we need to get our prepositional phrase back so that we know where we are going. And we say, going to school is fun. We can also say that going on vacation is fun. I think going on vacation is more fun than going to school, but going on vacation is our subject, going on vacation. And then we decide, well, what word do we need to match up with our verb is? And it's going. We use that with is. Going on vacation is fun. Now, there is something special we can do with this verb go. We can use it to make a whole new kind of sentence. But before we do that, I want us to remember that in this type of sentence that we've been talking about, where we have the verb to be, it could be am, is, are, and then we have our verb plus ing. For example, I could say, I am eating. I could say, she is sleeping. In these sentences, the eating and the sleeping is happening right now. I am eating right now. She is sleeping right now. But with the verb go, we can use it by adding an extra word. Here it comes. Take a look at this. That extra word to. If we put that little word to after it, then we can make what is happening in the sentence become something that hasn't happened yet. It's going to happen later. So it's a whole new kind of sentence because the action is not going to happen right now. We're going to say it will happen later. It is going to happen, but not yet. So let's look for example. She is going to read a book means that she is not reading a book right now, but maybe she will read a book later. Let's look at some examples of things that he could do later, but he is not doing right now. And we are going to use this special verb is going to. We could say he is going to read a book. He is going to read a book. He's not reading a book right now, but he will later. We could say he is going to watch TV. He is going to play basketball. He is going to sleep. He is going to swim. He is going to go swimming. He is going to go camping. I want you to notice how some of these verbs need an object and some do not. With read, we do not need to have an object, but we can. We could say he is going to read. We can also say he is going to read what? He is going to read a newspaper, he is going to read a magazine, or he is going to read a book. So our whole verb in this sentence, in this type of sentence, is going to read. Is going to read what? Is going to read a book. So this is the object of the sentence, and this is the whole verb. You can see that we have objects in this sentence. Watch what? Watch TV. Play what? Play basketball. With the verb sleep, we do not need an object after it. That would not make sense. If we say he is going to sleep, it would not make sense for us to say he is going to sleep what? He is going to sleep bed. That does not make sense. We could say, we might want to know where is he going to sleep, but the answer to where is answered in a prepositional phrase. So we could say he is going to sleep in his bed, or he is going to sleep in a sleeping bag. But we could just say he is going to sleep, and then we do not have an object at the end of that. With the verb swim, we do not need an object. We could just say he is going to swim. It would not make sense to say he is going to swim pool, because our question is not what, it is where. He is going to swim where? So we could say he is going to swim in the pool. He is going to swim in the ocean. He is going to swim in the lake. So we could use a prepositional phrase to tell us where he is swimming. But we can also just say he is going to swim. We can also say, I want you to notice something interesting here with swim. We can also say he is going to go swimming. This one is a little bit tricky because look at this. We have the word go here, and then we are going to use it again. So that's a pretty advanced sentence. But we could say he is going to go swimming. We could also say he is going to go camping. So let's read these sentences one more time. He is going to read a book. He is going to watch TV. He is going to play basketball. He is going to sleep. He is going to swim. He is going to go swimming. He is going to go camping. With these sentences, this means it is not happening right now. It is going to happen later. It is going to happen in the future. That means not yet. We also want to see that our verb in these sentences is 4 words. Is, going to, and then the action word read. Some of these need an object after them, especially if with that verb we need to ask the question what in order for it to make sense. Watch what? Play what? Some of these do not need an object after it, like sleep and swim, but we might want to use a prepositional phrase that tells us where they are sleeping or where they are swimming. And that's because we have the question where. So the question where can be answered in a prepositional phrase, and the question what can be answered with an object. The last thing we are going to do today is to talk about spelling when we are adding ing to a word. Before we can talk about that, we need to make sure that we know all the letters in the alphabet and which ones are vowels and which ones are consonants. So let's begin by just saying the alphabet together. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. Do you remember which of these letters are vowels? I am going to use red to show the vowels. We have A, B, I, O, U, and sometimes Y. A very simple word in English will begin with a consonant, have a vowel in the middle, and end with a consonant. We call this type of word a CVC word because it begins with a consonant, and consonant begins with a C. It ends with a consonant, consonant begins with a C, and there's a vowel in the middle, and vowel begins with a V. When we are adding ing to a verb that is a consonant, vowel, consonant word, we are going to take this consonant and we are going to add another one. We call that doubling. We say we double the final consonant. Final means the last one at the end of the word. Double means times 2. So for example, we could have the word run. U is a vowel and N is a consonant. So we are going to double the final N and then add ing. Let's look at another example. We could have swim. This is a vowel, this is a consonant. We want to add ing. So we will double the final M and then add ing. Our question is, how do we know whether or not we need to double this final consonant. So there is a trick to this, a rule we can follow. First, I am going to teach it to you for a word that has one syllable. If this right here is one syllable, and then I will teach it to you if there are more than one syllable. It is very simple. If in our vowel box it is just one letter, that means no digraphs, and if in our last consonant box it is just one letter, no digraphs, no blends, then we will double the final consonant. That's it. So let's try it out. Let's try the word read. So first let's look at our vowel box. Is it just one letter? No, because EA is a digraph. So we're not going to double the final consonant. We are just going to say that the word read is reading, R-E-A-D-I-N-G. Let's try another word. Let's try the word wish. Let's look in our vowel box. It's just one letter. Check. Let's look at our last consonant box. This is a digraph. SH is a digraph. A digraph. A digraph is when two or more letters make one sound. So we only want one letter here, so that does not work. So we will not double the final consonant. We will just add ing, wishing. Wishing. Okay, let's try another word. Let's try the word stand. Okay, first let's look at our vowel. That's just one letter. Check. Now let's look at our last consonant box. That is a blend. A blend is when two consonants make two sounds. We only want one letter, not two, so that does not work. So we will not double the final D. We will just add ing, standing. Let's try another word. I am going to try the word eat. Eat is spelled like this. We need to make sure that we do not write it like this because the E is not a consonant. The EA is a consonant digraph, so we don't want to put the E there. We want to put both the EA in here because that is a digraph. So now when we look at this, we can say, oop, that's a digraph, so that means we are not going to double the final T. We will just say eating, E-A-T-I-N-G. Okay, let's try another word. Let's try the word play. Okay, well let's think about this for a minute. In the word play, we have a blend at the beginning. I want you to notice when we make a decision about adding ing, let me put this over here. When we make a decision about that, we don't care about the beginning consonant. We never look at that. We're looking at the vowel and then the last consonant in the word right before we add ing. So when we look at play, there's a blend at the beginning. So I'll go ahead and write that in here. Then we have to look at the AY. Do you think I should put the A here and the Y here? No, we do not want to do that. Why don't we want to do that? Because in the word play, The AY is a digraph. AY is a digraph that makes, remember digraph is when two letters make one sound. And AY says A. It's the two-letter A that may be used at the end of English words. So that is the vowel sound in the word, and we are going to write it right here. So in the word play, there is no consonant sound at the end. And so this has a digraph. Well, the digraph doesn't work. Not having a consonant here, there's no consonant to double. So with play, we are just going to add ing. So we will just bring this over and have playing. It will look like this. Play, and then we add ing, playing. So you can see there are not very many times when we double that final consonant. Let's look at some examples where we do that. Let's try the word hop. Hop. So let's check. We only have one vowel, check. We only have one letter in the last consonant box, check. And so we are going to double the final P before we add ing. Let's look at the word swim one more time. There is only one vowel here, and there is only one consonant here, but here's my question for you. Does this matter that there is a blend at the beginning? Does that mean that we will not double this final M? The answer is no. It does not mean that. We do not care about what is at the beginning of the word. We don't care about what is at the beginning. We're only looking at the vowel box and the consonant at the end. Let's try the word fly. We can fly in the sky in an airplane. A bird can fly. Do you think we put the letters like this? No, we don't. We need to think about our sounds. So at the beginning of this word, we have a blend, fl. And then in this word, our vowel sound is the Y. Y at the end of a one-syllable word says I. So this says fly. We need to put our consonant blend in here and our vowel in here. So we can put fl, I, fly. Well, guess what? There's nothing in this box right here. There's nothing to double. So all we will do is add ing. So we will just add ing, flying. So these are some examples with one-syllable words. Let's look at a word that has more than one syllable. We are going to look at these two words, open and begin. We want to decide if with the word open, we are going to double that final N and then add the ing, or if we are not going to double the final N and then add the ing. And with beginning, the same thing. We are going to decide, do we need to add another N, double the N, and then add ing, or do we not need to do that? To answer this question, we need to divide the word into syllables. So in a syllable, there can only be one vowel sound. In every syllable, there needs to be a vowel sound. That's the only thing that needs to be in a syllable. You can have a syllable with just one letter if it is a vowel. To make our decision about whether or not we're going to double the final consonant, add another one, and then add our ing. If the word has more than one syllable, we still only care about this syllable. If this syllable, we look at the vowel and it needs to be just one letter. We look at the last consonant and it needs to be just one letter. So that means in here, there can be no digraphs. And in here, there can be no digraphs and no blends. If you see a digraph here, or a digraph here, or a blend here, then we are not going to double this letter. And there will be no doubling, and we will just add ing. But when there's more than one syllable, we only have to ask one more question. And that question has to do with the word stressing or accenting. Those mean the same thing. Well, that's kind of a hard word. What does that mean? That has to do with when we're talking, right? When we are talking, we do not talk like this. This is how a robot would talk. Instead, our voice goes up and down. And when we say a word, one part of the word we will say stronger than another part of the word. So for example, in the word begin, let's take that word. Do we say begin or begin or begin? Well, we say begin. So the second syllable is the one we are stressing or accenting. And I'm going to put an accent over that second part of the word. Begin. All right, let me get rid of some of this on the page. Okay, so for us to double the final consonant before we add ing, if the word has more than one syllable, we still follow the same thing we do with one syllable words, where we check on this and on this. Okay, no digraphs here, no digraphs or blends here. But then when we say the word, we need to be making the accent or the stress on this syllable, this last syllable of the word, like begin. If we are, then yes, we will double the final consonant and then add ing. But if we are not accenting or stressing, where's my eraser? This last syllable, if we are doing it over here at the beginning or on a different syllable of the word, then we are not going to double the final consonant. We will just add ing. So we're going to do our examples with open and begin to see what that looks like. For the word begin, we can see that we have a vowel here and we have a vowel here. That means there are two syllables in this word because each syllable can only have one vowel sound in it. In fact, the only rule about a syllable is that it has to have a vowel sound in it. You can have a syllable with only one letter if it is a vowel. Remember that a vowel sound can be made by a digraph, which is more than one letter, but it still makes just one sound. So we can decide whether or not we need to divide the syllables here, or do we divide the syllables here? So to decide this, we need to remember, let me get my G back here. Okay. We need to remember what we've learned about open and closed syllables. We know that this E is making the long sound E, B. In order for that E to make the long sound, this needs to be an open syllable. Right here. This needs to be an open syllable so that the E is the last sound in the syllable? We'll just cover this up for a minute. Okay, if the E is the last letter in the syllable, so that our syllable looks like that right here, and the E is the last letter, it's like the vowel can say, I'm free, I can run away. It's like an open door. That's an open syllable. And then the vowel will make the long sound. So now we know that we're going to make our syllable right after the E. Okay, now that we know where to divide our syllables, we're going to cover up this first one because this last one is the one we really care about. So we need to check on the vowel in this word and syllable and in the final consonant in this one. Okay, so we look at the vowel and there's only one letter in there, no digraph, check. We look at the final consonant and there is only one letter in there, check. Okay, no blend, no digraph. So far so good. It's looking like we're going to double that final N, but there's one more thing we need to check if this is a more than one syllable word, and this word has 2 syllables. Now we're going to look at the whole word and we're going to say, when we say this word, where do we accent the syllable? Which syllable do we say stronger? Do we say begin, or do we say begin? And it is the last one. We say begin. So if we are accenting this last syllable, then, okay, we've checked everything off. We've checked off this. We've checked off this is just one letter. This is just one letter. We accent this last syllable. And so now this is the only time when we are going to double that final consonant and then add ing. So we double this final consonant and then we add our ing, and there's the word beginning. Now we are going to try it with the word open. So we look at this word, and first we think about where are our syllables. Okay, so we find our O and our E. Here's our vowels. We have one here and we have one here. So those are our 2 syllables. We have to decide, do we divide the syllables here, or do we divide the syllable here? So we need to think about that first vowel. What sound is it making? Does this say open or open? It says open. So our vowel is the long O, which means it needs to be an open syllable, which is kind of funny because our word is open. To be an open syllable, it means it needs to be the last letter in the syllable, okay, like this. So we are going to say, oops, I'm not going to use that one. I'm going to use this one. We need to say that our first syllable is just O, just one letter, but that's okay. But now we need to look at the last syllable. So we're going to cover this one up for a minute. And we're going to look at our last syllable. And we need to look at the vowel and we need to look at the final box. Okay, so we check those out and we say, all right, just one letter, check. Just one letter, check. So far so good. Should we double the N and then add ing? Well, wait a minute. This word has more than one syllable, so there's one more thing we need to check. We need to say the word and think about which syllable do we accent or stress or say stronger. I'm going to move this out of the way. Okay, so let's say the words. Do we say open or do we say open? If we say open, we will do this, open, or we would say open. Well, we do not say open, we say open. So we are accenting the first syllable, open. Well, guess what? That means that we are not going to double the final N, because we only double the final N if we have one letter in the vowel box here, one letter here, but we accent the final syllable, and we are not doing that. We are accenting the O, open. So when we write this word, we are not going to double the final N. Let's see what it will look like. We just add ing, opening. The last spelling rule that I am going to show you is with the word come and have. So in this word, and in this word, we have a final silent E. You can see this E is silent. When there is a final silent E at the end of the word, all we need to do is erase the E and add ing. So this word would become coming, and this would become having. So what it would look like is this. C-O-M, we erase the E and add ing, and with having, we erase the E and we add ing. And that's the end. Great job today.